Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so haven't talked to Lakers in about 24 hours. There hasn't been a whole lot of news since I last spoke, but one thing that I can mention is that it seems as if Darius Garland may be potentially disgruntled in Cleveland if Donovan Mitchell doesn't get moved. So that kind of increases the likelihood that one of those two superstar, well, one's a superstar, the other one's an all-star players, guards, get moved, one or both. And then from what I understand, there may be some discomfort, I don't know what the word would be, but they may not be very happy in Cleveland with Jarrett Allen as well, a center who they signed to a $100 million contract about 3 years ago. Should be the last year of his contract coming up or something like that, maybe 2 years left on that deal, I'm not really sure. But yeah, Cleveland look like they're in a space where they may have to do an early retooling, rebuild type thing, man. If Donovan Mitchell, Jarrett Allen, and Darius Garland, three of their five starters, three all-star level players, could potentially want out of there. So that's going to be an interesting situation to pay attention to if you're the Lakers, because I think one of them dudes, or maybe two of them dudes, may end up Lakers at some point, depending on what the situation ultimately becomes. So I'm telling y'all right now, as somebody who's a Laker fan, Jarrett Allen would be a very good player for us to pick up specifically. I know a lot of people paying attention to Donovan Mitchell. Jarrett Allen is more so fitting the need of the center position. He's giving us a solidified shot blocker, somebody who can just traditionally catch lobs, be an upgrade from what it is we had, and give us an extremely formidable front court with Anthony Davis next to him. Obviously, Jarrett Allen plays with Evan Mobley, so the idea is that it would be a similar dynamic to what they have right now, which has been pretty successful for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I don't know if the Lakers want to pay Jarrett Allen's salary, because that's going to be the question, is whether or not the Lakers can really afford to do something like that without creating more problems for themselves. But you talk about the type of dynamic that I think the Lakers really need to be addressing. It ain't necessarily the guard spot per se, but more so making sure that we have a center in place so that Anthony Davis doesn't have to play it anymore. So if I'm the Lakers, I'm prioritizing that position a bit more than maybe I'm being what's being said in regards to our interests. That should really be a priority. If you're not going to draft a center with the 17th pick, then maybe going after a Jarrett Allen is your answer. Because if we go in the same way we're going, or if we think we're going to give some money to Valanciunas and that's going to be the answer, it won't be. We need somebody real at that position. And allowing Anthony Davis to play the 4 spot, I think, is really a solution for the LA Lakers, man. I really do. I think that's a big plus in getting us to get the most out of Anthony Davis when we don't have to ask him to even guard Jokic, even guard Sabonis anymore. So that's what I'm saying to you guys. Allow Anthony Davis to focus more on backline defense, offensive side of the ball. These are the type of things I prefer, rather than him having to be the only guy down there that can rebound the ball, constantly asking LeBron James to play center when he sits down. Stuff like that just should not be what we want to do anymore. So if I'm the Lakers, Jarrett Allen's probably the guy, man. He's probably the guy I'm going to be targeting right now, or somebody at that center position that I can trust to play starters minutes, possibly be an all-star level player, or a young enough player with enough size to give trouble to the Rudy Goberts and the Wembanyama's and all these different dudes. They're going to be playing that position for many years to come. So if the Lakers aren't thinking that way, then I think they could be potentially looking at things backwards. So that's what I want to say, man. Darius Garland, as far as Darius Garland, his contract's not very good. So that's really what it comes down to. His contract is bad. He's making like 30-something this year, and then it inflates every year after. He just signed a contract last year. Young player, but and very talented. He's only going to get better from here. But will he ever live up to that contract for the Lakers? Based on our needs, I doubt it. You're going to ask him to be the third best player on your team, and he's going to be making more as much money as Donovan Mitchell. You know what I mean? Which is not the way to go. So that's the problem with Darius Garland. Cleveland just paid him too damn much. And we've seen that before with other players. It's nothing new, where you see a player that you really like, but his contract is inflated so much that it just makes no sense for you to bring him in. This is just another case of that. If they would have gave him a reasonable contract that everybody could really get behind, then I don't think moving him would be an issue at all. But because his contract is so inflated based on what you expect him to do, it don't make no sense to bring him in if you're the LA Lakers. So I'm cool on Darius Garland. I'm cool on Darius Garland for that reason alone. The numbers just do not add up. And he's a short guard who can really play. I think he has above average handle, so he can help a team. If he goes to the right spot, I think he can get his career going. He's a high volume athlete. Like I said, already made an all-star team. I'm pretty sure more all-stars in his future if he can stay healthy. But staying healthy is a problem. He was out for a long time with a broken jaw. He's missed other things. So a lot of young players get these injury issues early on, and then they build strength, build conditioning, and they stop being a problem. I'd imagine that could be a good bet for Darius Garland. I think as he gets older, he won't be as injury prone. But still, that contract, I would stay away from if I'm the LA Lakers. I'm good. So that's really what it comes down to. And then Donovan Mitchell, it just depends on the package out. A lot of what people are saying they're willing to pay for Donovan Mitchell, I would need a guarantee that he's going to be signing an extension before I'm willing to send any of that out. If I know I'm getting a Donovan Mitchell rental, I'm against sending out any first round picks for him. None. I only have 3, so I'm not sending out any. I'll send out all the players, even though those are fantastic contracts. But I think you could potentially trade him for more later on. So I think he's worth more than maybe what I'd be sending out in players. But once you start talking about pick equity for a rental, that's when I have to walk away from the negotiation table personally. But if I know he's going to sign an extension, hopefully that extension doesn't pay him too much to where we can't put anything around him. That's what it really comes down to. So that's my concern. I don't know if I can trust that his extension is not going to put me in a position to where I'm not happy with his contract. So it's a lot of different things around Donovan Mitchell that makes me say, Donovan Mitchell, I like him as a player, but I don't know if his contract's going to be worth it for me. And because I don't know if it's going to be worth it for me, I'm probably steering clear unless it absolutely falls in line with being worth it for me. So that's my point of view. But y'all know I'm on the rebuild, get picks for everything bandwagon anyway. So I'm probably not the best person to come to for solutions in making this unit better. I don't have any interest in doing that, to be honest with you. So that's my point of view. Another situation that worth talking about is DeMar DeRozan essentially said that he, in more or less loose enough words, still want to play for the Lakers. We knew he wanted to be a Laker a couple years ago, was willing to take a pay cut to be a Laker. Many years ago, it was like 3 years ago, I advised him not to do that because he would be trade bait for coaches. Not coaches, GMs, who would otherwise want to trade a player that plays that high level on a fantastic contract. You come in, if you're him, that at that point, on like a $6 million contract, you're asking to get traded. You're asking for your GM to say, yo, this is the best contract in the league. I can get something for that. And with the year that he ended up playing, the way he played that year, he was an MVP candidate that year. That would have been the best contract maybe ever. And now has made a lot of money since with the Chicago Bulls. Now, he hasn't won anything, but he has continued his illustrious career as a Chicago Bull with some very good years there. So now it's time for him to be up for a new contract. And I think with all the money that he's made, still having enough in the tank, but is starting to slow down, I think he wants to play for his home team. And I think it's reason to think that he may want to take a pay cut. Now, this year is a little different in my opinion because it's been several years. You more likely are happy to have him at a contract that is significantly lower without trading him. You're very happy to have him on that contract, but at the same time, it's not like you're enticed to move him just because he's on a good contract, because he's got some years on him now. He's like 33 years old, something like that. I felt like him on a $7 million contract at 30 or 29 probably end up being trade bait for Rob Pelinka. But at 33, if he takes a significant pay cut, plus built the way this team is, you probably will function much better holding on to him through the trade deadline. With our timeline being as it is, Bron is a couple years older. We'll probably ask him to do more. We'll need him more so than what we would have in the past. So I think it makes more sense for him this year to take a pay cut if he wants to play for the Lakers, without as much of a risk of him being traded immediately for doing so. So I would love to see the Lakers court him, and if they can get him for something much less than what he's deserving of in this market, then I wouldn't hesitate to sign him. If I got to pay his salary at the exorbitant amounts that he's expected to get, then I'm definitely cool on it. But him on a pay cut can really fit under our books, allow him to come in and be a quasi third star without having to play third star money, and then we can still fill out the rest of our roster in theory. So that's what I'm telling y'all. Let's try to do something like that. I think getting DeMar DeRozan this year is probably the move instead of trying to go after so much more expensive players at whatever cost they're going to be worth. Like a guy like Donovan Mitchell is a better player at this point, but not so much better that I wouldn't rather have DeMar DeRozan on a pay cut. You know what I'm saying? Not so much better, especially when I'm asking them to do the same things. It's not like I'm asking either one of them to be my number one. They both, in theory, are trying to swap to be number three. So I'd rather pay DeMar DeRozan $20 million to be number three than play Donovan Mitchell $40 million to be number three. You see what I'm saying? And that's essentially what it is, more or less. So I would opt to go with Donovan with DeMar DeRozan, even though they play different positions. You know, you could probably get away with having Donovan Mitchell be a lead guard. It's going to be more valuable to you. But at the end of the day, I am paying for my number three, and DeMar DeRozan provides me a bit more size. In theory, and that does not necessarily equate because, you know, Donovan Mitchell is a big player. He's a strong player, lower base, but he's shorter, you know. DeMar DeRozan is going to give you more length. And I think that could be helpful on the defensive side. Neither one of them are defensive dynamos. Both of them could score 30, 40 points on a great night. So it's not really a situation where you're looking at either one of them and saying, yo, they're going to be something like anything other than that. But nevertheless, you know what I mean? I think when it really comes down to it, the Lakers got to make the best decision right now, because their next move needs to be their best move. You can't just go in the situation throwing money, throwing picks at everything, and it go bad. You don't have the ability to undo any damn thing. That's the problem. You don't have the ability to undo nothing. Once you make a decision, give away all your picks in that situation, that's when you know that whatever you have done, you're going to live with. Next step for the Lakers, they don't have another Russell Westbrook trade in their back pocket. The next thing they do has to be the move that they're going to live with. And so that's why I'm on the mindset that I think the team should just rebuild, man. All this LeBron James stuff is cool, but if you can't bring in what he needs to compete for a championship, then you just signing up to be disappointed with what your ultimate outcome will be. And for me, I have no interest in signing up for nothing like that. What I would sign up for is a rebuild that allows me to have the requisite assets to put myself in a position to be able to build whatever I want to build. And that's been my point of view all throughout the course of the offseason over the last month or so. One more thing to talk about, of course, is Bronny James. The Lakers interviewed him at the Combine, I think yesterday. I didn't get a chance to see that interview. I don't know what was said. But the last thing I heard about Bronny James is that a lot of the executives that were spoken to by one of the people I was listening to essentially said that the kid is still not ready. They compared him to a poor man's Davion Mitchell of the Sacramento Kings, defensive player, short guy. You know what I mean? That's not somebody you should necessarily want. A poor man's version of him can help you defensively, but if his defense is his strength and being short is the problem, that right there can be a bit of a mess. The learning curve is a lot. He's going to have to continue to develop. And you know, most of what was said was that he's not ready. He tests well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's ready to come out and be anything other than what it is he's expected to be in college last year, which is a 4-point scorer. God, it's not going to get any minutes right away. He'll spend most of the year in the G League. I don't think that LeBron's going to be happy with that, his father, but I think for the kid, he should want to play in the G League to develop himself, to get to the point where he wants to be, so that people can not hold him to a standard that he can't live up to, but more so he can get off to a good start, become the piece that he's going to be in this league, and really get going. So I would love to see Bronny stay in school. If for some reason they don't like what things look like in the draft, just stay in, because he probably won't play with his dad this year any damn way. I hear that the Miami Heat may want to take him at 32. If he ends up getting drafted to the Heat, Bron ain't going back to Miami. I don't think. They ain't got the money to pay him anyway. So it's like, that type of stuff, for me, it's just not worth it if you're him. So that's all the time I have to speak. I appreciate everybody for watching BDF 44, and I'm out.